Hello, and welcome to Bad at Board Games. My name is Brad Lake, and I'm bad at board games, so you don't have to be. Got the sounds back because they make me laugh.
Hello, and welcome to tonight's show.
They make me smile. So it's between Christmas and New Year's. I'm trying to get a few things out just for the fun of it because you all deserve it, and I just enjoy it. So we're going to talk about my top 10 disappointments of 2023. Now, these are not games that are new in 2023. These are games that I had never played, and some of them, did come out in 2023, but it's looking at what was my expectation. Was it really high and it really underperformed based on my expectation, kind of like when you go to a movie? Or did I go in with a neutral, like, I don't know if this is going to be a good game or bad, and it was really like just, this isn't a good game. So these are my top 10 2023 games that I played, biggest disappointments, and I'll tell you if it was because I had high expectations or if it was just a bad game or a little bit of both. Did you know 70% of you aren't subscribed? Hit that subscribe button. We do fun board game stuff here. To number 11, because it wouldn't be a top 10 list on the internet if we didn't all cheat. So my first disappointment was Vindication. I went all in on this. So this is number 11, Vindication. I spent way too much money, over 300, 350. I don't know what the all-in was, and then it was a big shipping cost on top of it for a Euro game cube pusher. And it's beautiful. It's a decent game, but I had such high expectations. I shouldn't have gone all in. I did like the neoprene mat. Going to be all honest about that. And that might have been the add-on I should have taken. Just had the base game, had the mat, and I probably would have enjoyed it without feeling like I spent way too much money on it. But it was just kind of like, it just didn't hit. And we played it enough times, and we played it at different player counts. It's not a bad game, but I thought it was going to at least be a 7, 8, or 9. For me, I think it landed around a 6. So that's my honorable mention at number 11, and that's one of the games I've got on the call list for this year. Number 10 was War Chest, and it's from AEG. It's just something about it. Just, I like a lot of AEG games, and I just felt, it just didn't work for me for whatever reason. And so that's my number 10. There was some mechanic in there that just didn't work out and how I kind of wanted the game to allow me to play. The next game, I went in with a neutral. I don't know if it was going to be good or bad. I didn't have any expectations one way or the other. Was hoping to be surprised by it. But this one is Flamecraft, and don't flame me for not liking Flamecraft. Now, this is a good intro into the gaming hobby game. But for me personally, this wasn't something that I wanted or need on my shelf. I've got other games, but if you're looking or new to the hobby and just want it's nice components, it's a cute theme, and if you're looking to get other people into the hobby with something fairly easy, this is a good game to try out. I just have other options for that, and for me personally, I'm looking for something a little bit more crunchy. So it's just, it's on this list, but it's not like my number one by any, whatever I'm trying to say. It was a disappointment, but it wasn't like, oh, this is a horrible, horrible game. I think this is very good for people trying to, get people into the hobby and move from, the intro games, or, these are the intro games that you want to try as you discover more and more unique and interesting games within the hobby itself. The next one, so Flamecraft's my number 9. Number 8 is Dark Venture. This was a Kickstarter back when Quackalope and Board Game Co. were, I was big into a lot of their Kickstarters. And this is a decent game, but it just didn't hit the way I thought it was. It's a small box, and it's a combat game where you've got, 5 chits, or 10 chits against somebody else's chits, and each one of those chits is a monster of some kind or some level, and you're trying to upgrade those chits as you go. And for for the size that it is, and it's trying to compete against things like really, it's a cheap Warcry or cheap Warhammer skirmish or kill team, something like that, and it's got objectives and such. And I like the artwork that pulled me in. It does well against that, but I don't know what I was hoping for in that game, but it wasn't quite that. But that's why that ended up being a disappointment. Dark Venture at number 8. So the next one is number 7. I wanted this game to be so good, so I had very high expectations for it. So that's probably why it's on this list. Not a bad game. Is Age of Comics. Now that just delivered this year. I reached out to this company to be like, I am so excited about this game. I'd seen, Facebook posts or whatever about it, it coming. It finally launched. I was able to get a review out during the Kickstarter. They did fund. When we played it, I was the one that liked it the least. So one of my friends, Ashby, he liked it the most. Chris Topher liked it, in the middle. And I liked it the least. I think I was a 6. Toph might have been a 7 or 7.5, 8. And Ashby might have been an 8 or a 9. I can't remember at the time. But, so we ranged the gamut. But for that one, I wanted it to be this 9 or 10. I was so excited. I collected comic books, still have all my comic books. So it was just kind of one of those. I probably let myself down in that case. Not a bad game. It has delivered, but just didn't sing the way I was hoping it would. And then the next one, I like Uwe Rosenberg. He's one of my top designers. And so he had a new game coming out called Applejack, and so I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize it was coming out, and then got to play it on BGA, and I was just kind of like, this is all right, it's not bad, it's not great. I can tell he's a good designer. That's why it's not horrible, but it was a disappointment. It was not anything close to what I was expecting from him. But that's kind of like, reality meets our fantasies, where it's like these designers, like every game they make is going to be one of our favorites, going to be one of our top 10s of all time, blah, blah, blah. That isn't reality. So Applejack was definitely in that category at number 6. Number 5, I think I've played this prior to this year, so this may be a bit of a cheat, but I really, really doubled down and tried to play this multiple times on multiple platforms. And I just couldn't get it to work for me, is Terra Mystica. This is my number 5. I love Gaia Project, and you would think I could just really enjoy Terra Mystica, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm missing. I just can't, and I don't know if I need just somebody to sit down and walk me through and be like, oh no, you don't want to do that, or this is when you need to do this, so that I can understand the strategy maybe a little bit more, to enjoy it. But I start off all good, and then it just kind of all falls apart, and I can't make the game work for me, and it just is, I don't know. So I keep working at it, but I think I may be done until somebody can actually sit down and show me, this is what you need to do, you jerk. So Terra Mystica is coming in at number 5. And then my number 4, I'd heard good things about it. Liege, it's one of his favorites. It's a boss battler, like boss battlers. And, I don't think I've seen a bad review on it, really. And then I play it, and so now I'm the bad guy. This one's Vagrant Song. I don't care for it. I think it's too much of a slog. I think, when it's a Euro game boss battler. So I've started to realize this genre is the same as Beast, right? They've turned it into how I'm not going to really make it fun. I want these things to be fun, and I want to feel clever, and I want to be able to mitigate the statistics of something. But I think where Vagrant Song falls apart on me is you're doing a boring thing, you're doing a boring thing, you're doing a boring thing, and then you finally get to do something to the boss. And then you have to do a bunch of boring things to avoid, and then do something to the boss. So in that way, it just isn't that much fun for me. And, I want a little bit more. And the bag builder that they have with Vagrant Song, you don't really know what the statistical statistical probability is of you pulling a certain shit out. At least for dice, if you need a dice roll of a 3, you have a 50% chance of, success. So how do you mitigate that? What moves are you going to do each turn to try to beat the boss? But Vagrant Song just felt like this is what the boss is going to do, and you need to move to a different car. You need to do this, and then, but there's too much of that, and so that was my downside to playing Vagrant Song, and why it's on this list. I really just didn't enjoy it. It was number 4 on my list, and then number 3 could have been number 1, but I didn't. There's 2 games that I enjoyed less, but this was the game I spent the most, and it really failed to meet normal expectations, I would even say. And this is Lords of Ragnarok. It's beautiful. The minis are gorgeous. Awaken Realms does an amazing job. I love Nemesis. I like the Great Wall, but I went all in on this, and an area control game, and thought the boss, being able to fight like Loki, not Loki, but the monsters and try to win that way versus, having to do the area control thing, multiple ways to win, you're thinking, all this kind of stuff. And it just ended up being, it wasn't fun. Like we tried 4 players. I think we tried 5 players even, and 3 players and 2 players. I didn't play it solo, but by then it was just kind of like, there's at no way we're playing this. We're not having fun. We've tried different ways to win. And it felt like there's a couple of ways to win. So it was a big disappointment. Like I turned around and sold it while it was still delivering so that I could at least recoup some of my money. And I had to take a hit on it, which I was at least glad to get some money back out of it. But wow, that Lords of Ragnarok was a big disappointment. Lords of Ragnarok could have been my number 1 biggest disappointment on this list until I started going through it and realizing there's 2 games on here I liked even less. And it's more about like, I just really, really didn't enjoy the games. And I paid 0 for them. So yeah, let's look at these. So my number 2 is Abyss, and that's an older game-ish. It's on the Dice Tower's top games of all time. I don't know if it's Z or Mike or which one really likes the game. It is gorgeous. The artwork is gorgeous. Undersea, water. But I was playing it with my friends. Typically, if I'm not playing something with my friends, I can see where a game is going to take a bit of a hit. But it was a 4-player game. None of us really enjoyed it. It's like, what is up with this mechanic? Did we read the rules right? And like looking back and forth, like, no, this is how you play the game. And ask somebody, and nope, this is how you play the game. Because we were at a convention, and it was not good. We just didn't enjoy it. And that was kind of like all around, we were kind of like, I don't understand why Abyss is rated so well. We just didn't enjoy it. And so that's my number 2 is Abyss. And then my number 1 is, I may not want to play this more than Through the Ages. Like, I may never play this again. I think I've mentioned this before in one of my monthly roundups, but somebody's like, oh, you got to use the expansion. I'm like, I don't think I'll ever give it the chance. So this may be the new winner against Through the Ages, because I think I would actually play Through the Ages again. And this one's Kalis. This was a slog. This was a game that I just wanted to be over. It just would not end. I was like, make it go away. It like when I would think it'd be over or going to get over, it just wasn't. It just wasn't. It kept going and going and going. It was the longest, boring. I just want this game to be over. These mechanics, I don't enjoy them. Make it stop, please. I wanted to just quit the game. So yeah, Kalis, that is a very boring looking Euro. And I know people have said the expansions make it and so did that. I'm like, I just don't think I'm going to give it the chance. Anyway, so that's my top 10, 11-ish disappointments of 2023. Hopefully you enjoyed this list. And just remember, no matter how you play, whether it's solo, with family, or friends, enjoy whatever you are bringing to the table. Bye.